All right, we're running pretty late on this show, so let's just do some quick rapid fire here. Give me your top three MVPs for the AL and the NL.
Okay, I feel like for the American League, I had to do 4 because there's 4 that really stand out to
Fair
me.
enough.
And
Yep.
in my
I think
order, yeah, for my order, I'm going Mike Trout, number 4. And I think the American League was a lot harder to do than the National League as well, because I think the top 4 is so freaking close. But I got Mike Trout, which is I think this is gonna flip flop throughout their entire season. I think this is
yep.
gonna go up and down. But Mike Trout, I have to put 4. He's having maybe the best season of the top 4 guys I'm mentioning, but his Angel team sucks, and I still take record into account. Mike Trout's having a phenomenal season, but just because his team is not as good as the other teams I'm going to mention, and he's having a similar season to some of the other guys, I'm going to have to knock him for that. So he's my number 4. Number 3, I got Jose Ramirez, who's also having another fantastic season. He leads the league in RBIs, but the Guardians, I don't think are as good as another team I'm going to mention for, one of my top candidate. He plays on the best team in the American League. So because of that, Jose Ramirez, I can't put above him, even though they're having very similar seasons. Jose Ramirez quietly, very quick, double-digit stolen bases, but for me, he's going to fall in at number 3 just because I don't think the Guardians are that great of a team, but he's definitely the driving force in that lineup. Number 2 for me, this guy might be number 1 on a lot of people's list, and he probably should be number 1. But because his team sucks, he can only be number 2, and that is Shohei Ohtani. And if Ohtani has, a 3.5 ERA at the end of the season, 25 home runs, 25 stolen bases, like, we probably should give him the MVP regardless of what the record is, because he is the definition of MVP. No guy does more for their team than Shohei Ohtani, but because it's early in the season and I still care about records, I might not care about as much as we get toward the end of the season, but I still care about records as we do these way too early MVP races halfway through the season. So because the Angels have been just terrible the last month and a half, a long losing streak during that process as well, Ohtani, you have to be number 2 for me, even though you might be the most valuable player overall in Major League Baseball. And the number 1, I got Aaron Judge, the best player on the best team. Very easy argument for me for the MVP. He's got, leads the league in home runs. He's got the most total bases, a 290 average, over 1,000 OPS. Aaron Judge has had a phenomenal season, and he's playing a little bit more center field than he normally does. So his defense has gotten better as well. So I got Aaron Judge as my number 1 MVP in the American League. So maybe we could go back and forth and do the leagues first, and then you could give me your top 4 in the American League.
It's funny. There's one major difference I have in mind. My number 4 is Trout.
Mm-hmm.
My number 3 is Rafael Devers.
Oh, okay. I
Who's
like that one.
having a great year for Boston. I have Jose Ramirez at number 2, mainly because he's carrying that that Guardians lineup. He's carrying that team's offense. They're a contender. If you look up and down their lineup, if you take him out of that, this is a 100-loss team, maybe. Okay, maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but he is their offense. I don't have Ohtani in my top 4. I guess
Wow.
I mean, I understand all the arguments for it. I truly do. I just have to have Ramirez up there. I have to have Devers up there. I think Trout's having a phenomenal year, and I don't see how you can give to anyone but Aaron Judge. I mean, Aaron Judge right now is the MVP of the American League. It's just that's what I see. Okay, well let's talk. The National League is probably be a little tougher.
Yeah,
So
one
yeah,
thing I
so
was gonna say, I like Devers on your list. I think the only reason he's not in my top 4 is because that first month he started maybe the first 3 weeks a little bit slower, but over the last 6-7 weeks, you could easily say he's been the best player in baseball over the last 6 to 7 weeks. So I think he's gonna be a riser as the season goes on. Honestly,
I just think the Red Sox got off to such a terrible start,
yeah.
and then suddenly you saw what he did, and it's like, oh wow. I mean, to me, it's just what he's been since that first month has been so tremendous that I have a hard putting him anywhere else. So anyway, show me what you got.
Okay, yeah, the National League is a little bit tougher because some of these MVP candidates have gotten hurt recently, so that
Yeah.
kind of plays into it. So for me, I'll still put him in my MVP list just because the injury was so recently. So I have Bryce Harper, number 4 on my list for MVP candidates. He's been phenomenal. Now, he's been a little bit more of a DH because he first got hurt with the wrist, before this latest injury. He got hurt previously, and he had to stop throwing and he had to stop playing defense. He had to move to DH full time. So that probably hurts his MVP candidacy a little bit. And now he just got surgery. Looks like he might be out 6 to 8 weeks. So Bryce Harper's definitely going to be falling off this list. But at this point of the season, Bryce Harper's number 4 for me. Mookie Betts, in full honesty, is not on it for me just because I think he's been hurt a little bit too long. But number 3 for me, I got Pete Alonso of the New York Mets, who I think is having an underrated season. He's smashing home runs left and right. He's one of the league leaders in RBIs. I think Pete Alonso has been because after that rookie season, he seemed to take a little bit of a step back in 2020. I think he's come roaring back this year. So I think Pete Alonso is having a really incredible season, and he's been the driving force in that New York Mets lineup. Number 2 for me, I got Manny Machado, who is just like, if you look at the top 5 MVP candidates in the National League, like 3 of the top 5 are hurt. Manny Machado, he's going to be out maybe a little bit of time as well. But he's going to be number 2 for me because with Fernando Tatis out, the Padres are a team where you look at that lineup, a lot of those guys aren't producing at very high levels outside of Manny Machado, like the Jay Cronenworths haven't been as good this year coming off an all-star appearance. Trent Grishams of the world are just having terrible seasons. So Manny Machado has done a great job of carrying that lineup without Fernando Tatis. The rotation has been very good, but the driving force in that lineup has been Manny Machado. The number 1 for me, it hurts to say because he used to be an Arizona Diamondback and he used to be the face of the franchise, but I think I gotta go with Paul Goldschmidt, who had just been on a power bender recently, multi-home run games left and right. Every time I go on Twitter, I feel like I'm seeing another Paul Goldschmidt bomb. That lineup for the Cardinals has been pretty good. I mean, Nolan Arenado, Nolan Gorman, they got some pieces, but no piece has been better for the Cardinals than Paul Goldschmidt, who the Cardinals are a team who I don't think are a phenomenal, the strongest World Series contender. They weren't among our top 4, but the way Goldie's playing right now, he raises the ceiling of that team, and he's looking like an MVP candidate because the thing with Goldie, he usually starts seasons slow. Usually the first half is a little slow. Then by the All-Star break, he usually starts picking up. No, Paul Goldschmidt from the jump this year, he's been good from day one. I think he's my MVP so far.
You're right. The injuries have thrown some weird wrenches into all this thing right now. Because even for Bryce Harper, who was having a wonderful year as well. I'm going to keep Machado at my number 4. Just because I mean, I hope he does. I really hope he doesn't miss too many more games. That would be a real shame if he does. My number 3 may surprise you. I'm putting Dansby Swanson.
Wow. Okay, that's a big
spot. Well, I just think that an all-around player. I needed to have someone. That Braves team had that great run, and I had to take Harper off of my list, and I was trying to find someone who just helps all around, defensively, offensively. I may regret that decision, but I think he's had a tremendous year, and I wanted to give him a shout out. You could also possibly put Freddie Freeman at number 3 as well.
I also think it's a contract year for Dansby Swanson as well. So you're trying to get the bag after having a career year.
Yeah, I mean, having Harper and Betts injured really puts and Machado.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. 3 of the top 5 guys are hurt.
I mean, yeah. I mean, so my number. Did I put Machado on there?
Yeah,
number 2 is Alonso. Not just because he's had so many, and his numbers are great, but he's come up big on so many massive.
Been clutch.
Just an absolute, when you have a team that loses DeGrom, that loses Scherzer, and he is just carrying that offense and being the spark of that offense. But Goldschmidt is Leo. I hate to say it, he's just so obviously the MVP that. I mean, it's like I don't understand an argument for anyone other than Goldschmidt right now. You can make a case for someone other than Judge. I wouldn't agree with it, but I would say, oh, okay, we agree to disagree on that. I don't understand an argument for anyone who's not named Paul Goldschmidt to be the National League MVP, especially with the injuries to Machado and to Harper and to Betts. That's why it was such a difficult time coming up with the 4 for the. It was basically Goldschmidt, Alonso. I'm like, Dansby Swanson's good. And again, that's not a slight on him. Or Trey Turner with Los Angeles is having a great year. I mean, there's a bunch of players having great years, but Goldschmidt should be the unanimous MVP at this point.
Yeah, and at the time of us recording this on Tuesday, Goldschmidt leads the National League in batting average, OBP, slugging, OPS, OPS plus, total bases. He also has 19 home runs and over 60 RBIs. He is running away with MVP. And as a D-backs fan, it hurts even more knowing that Carson Kelly just got his first home run of the season. He's batting below 150, and Luke Weaver, whenever he goes out there to start, he is a complete abomination every start now. Like, he's lost all confidence. So when you look at that Goldschmidt trade, it is getting worse and worse by the season, which is actually pretty crazy because as Goldschmidt is getting older, he seems to become a better player. Why the two young D-backs players are getting worse as they are getting older. So a fun contrast there for D-backs fans.
This has been a lockdown therapy session. We've gone on so long. We gotta end this. We gotta end this episode. I know. So I'm just gonna. This is an epic episode that you and I have recorded. I'm clearly going to be chewed out by the heads of the Lockdown Podcast Network for doing this long an episode. Maybe, you can split it up into as many episodes as you want.
I'm done for the rest of the week, Sully. What are you talking about? You got all my pods for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So thank you. Shout out to you. I'm going to D-backs game tonight. So now I can just relax and maybe I'll do a little post-game recording. I mean, by the time my listeners are listening to this part of the podcast, it's going to be like Friday by the time they listen to this. So they don't even know what I'm going to be talking about.
All right. So tell people where you can listen to this show.
Oh, well, follow me on all podcasting platforms, of course, or just look up at Creator Thomas 24 for my personal account on Twitter, or just type in Locked On Diamondbacks to both Twitter and Instagram for the podcast handle.
And you can follow us at Locked On MLB Pod, same handle for Instagram. I'm your pal Sully, but Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. Going way long on this, but having a fun time. There's been a Locked On crossover between Locked On MLB and Locked On Diamondbacks. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. That's my co-host, Millard Thomas. We're going to fist pump because we're in this together. We're over an hour.